Our friend Ken Decoster is here from the Sheriff's Office in CrimeStoppers. How are you?
Riley, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. And I mentioned earlier this morning, I used your tweet as the official recognition of the hail last night. You tweeted out, three? Was it three of them on a tape measure?
Yeah.
Good size chunks, just a bit around golf ball size.
Yeah, I'd say the hail that fell in my area last night was about golf ball size hail, like maybe 2 inches in diameter.
Biggest hail that you've been part of or seen or had land on your property?
I think so. Sure. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago at my house over on Highland at that time, we had a lot of hail, but the size of the hailstones was not nearly as large as the hail that fell last night. Up in McChesney Park, I think there was quite an event up there. People reporting their vehicles were damaged, their decks were damaged, their roofs were damaged. I mean, that's quite an event.
Yeah, and you think about anybody who's caught walking. I only have a block or so to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's got to sting. Well, actually, that would do more than I think just sting.
It's funny you should say that, Riley. I was in my backyard collecting some of the hailstones, and I said to my wife, Christina, "Okay, I better come in. I don't want to get hit." And she said, "No, stay out, Ken."
No, come on, Ken, it looks fine. Just a few more minutes. She's looking at the radar. Just a few more minutes. Is that policy still in place? Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah. No, grab the one behind you. Well, I'm glad we didn't have any reports of anybody being hurt. Mm-hmm. A lot of cars banged up.
Right.
A few windshields broken. We heard about this morning. Joe's sister's car got a nice pock marking from it yesterday.
Mm-hmm. A lot of business alarms went off, and this time of the year is so volatile with the change in the weather patterns. And as you mentioned, I think we're going to get up to close to 90 degrees today. Just the various warm and cold fronts are so volatile that's why we get such changes in the weather.
Which is why I always think to myself, people who live down in Tornado Alley, Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma, the places like that where tornado season doesn't mean the chances go higher. It means you're getting them. Mm-hmm. When you're into the season, it's, gosh, I hope we don't get, it's how many are we going to get?
Right.
And how many people decide, well, rather than that vacation, we're going to dig that storm cellar and have that appointed for ourselves. And I watched a show not long ago on the Weather Channel. They gave you a tour of Texas storm cellars.
Wow.
And I thought initially, really? You're just going to... Oh, man, some of these people have it set up like man cave.
Oh, I bet.
For extended periods of time, really nicely appointed.
You might as well make good use of it. And, if you're living in that area, you might as well make it a very nice, elaborate setup.
Because chances are you're going to be spending some time down there.
Exactly right.
All right. Shifting gears, you brought along a lot of law enforcement-related material.
Riley, a lot has happened since you and I last talked last Tuesday. Rockford police have arrested a man they say dressed as a utility worker during an armed home invasion last week, and they are continuing to search for another suspect. This was nuts. This happened last Wednesday. 700 block of Green Meadow Avenue. That's on the Near East Side. Around 4 p.m. last Wednesday, police responded to a report of a home invasion. Police spoke with the victim, who was at home at the time with his 2 children. He told police that a group of men dressed as utility workers knocked on the door. When he opened the door, one of the suspects pulled out a gun, and the group forced their way inside. Police say the suspect stole an undisclosed amount of valuables from the home before fleeing the scene. The victim suffered minor injuries during this incident. The 2 kids inside the home were not hurt. Police yesterday arrested Anthony Alexander, who's 47, on home invasion charges. He's being held on $500,000 bond. Police are looking for another suspect identified as 39-year-old Tyrone Jones of Rockford. He's wanted on home invasion charges. His bond is set at $250,000. If you know the whereabouts of Tyrone Jones, give Rockford Police a call at 779-500-6551. And this is a textbook case of being extremely careful when people, it's a sad situation to say this, Riley, but when people come to your door, you have to be careful as to who.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even those purporting to be a utility worker,
and they've got the vests on, But do they have the proper identification?
Bingo. Ask for the ID.
Right.
Let's see the ID that says you are with so-and-so and prove it. But at the same time, the different layers of this, I feel very badly for those who are in the utility business or who are going door to door.
Sure.
Because now you're going to have more suspicion on you than you would before. I just hope nobody reacts unnecessarily.
Right.
Let's be careful here and be decent and all that. Ask for some ID, but you've made life harder for people who actually have to go door to door for legitimate reasons.
Absolutely. This past Saturday night, there was a fire at the Village Inn Motel up in Machesney Park. It's at 7820 North 2nd Street in Machesney Park. And this turned out to be an arson, Riley. Police arrested a guy, the renter of one of the motel rooms. They saw him walking away from the fire. This happened just shortly after 7 p.m. on Saturday, the 13th. The person who was detained, he's identified as Robert M. Cox of Machesney Park. He was detained, and then there was an investigation by the Illinois State Fire Marshal's Office, which determined the fire was intentionally set. So Robert M. Cox of Machesney Park is charged with arson and disorderly conduct. Thank God that there were no serious injuries, but this guy put firefighters and the other motel renters in harm's way.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, luckily everybody got out of there without injury.
Right. Another frightening story, Riley. A 10-year-old girl is now safe with her family after police say she was abducted by a family friend while on her way to school. According to Rockford police, the girl's father reported the child missing around noon this past Friday after his daughter left early for the bus stop but never made it to school. Police say this incident occurred in the 1600 block of 15th Avenue. After checking the area, authorities found the girl with a friend of the family. His name is 46-year-old Mark Gaines. According to police, Gaines lured the child from her bus stop, taking her without her father's permission. Police report Gaines withheld the girl's whereabouts from the father. Gaines is being charged with aggravated kidnapping. So I don't know. You never know what's going on in the dynamics there between if this guy supposedly is a family friend.
Yeah, former, I'm going to guess at this point.
Why in the heck would he ask the girl to come into his vehicle without telling his dad? The girl's dad, his friend. There's just something not right.
But you can see how he could pull it off. Family friend, seeing you around dad. Obviously, you're okay. Obviously, you're not okay.
And then this story, Riley, police said a teenager was taken into custody after pointing a handgun at a man who sells ice cream from a cart at Sawyer Road and Sainer Avenue. This happened about 20 minutes to 5 on Sunday afternoon. Rockford police said a 17-year-old approached the victim while he was pushing the ice cream cart. The suspect demanded money and was given cash. He also grabbed a bag of 10 ice cream bars.
Sure, why not? Well, as long as you're there.
They are a tasty treat.
They really are. You know,
even when you're robbing somebody.
Is hot work. Sure, I can see that. Wow.
Officers located the juvenile suspect and took him into custody a short time later. And he was the guy with the ice cream dripping from his chin.
A napkin might have helped you get away, sir.
It wasn't me.
No, too late for that. Get in the car.
Chocolate and ice cream all over his shirt.
If it only hadn't been so warm. Wow. Once again, here's a guy pushing an ice cream thing. Come on, really? And that reminds of the tragedy involving the guy who had the ice cream cart a number of years ago, who this ended horribly.
Shot and killed.
Horribly, yeah.
And finally, Riley, we're looking for the following 4 individuals. 29-year-old Martell Walker is a black man. He's 5'9", 245 pounds. He's wanted for aggravated battery of a child. 32-year-old Brandon Eash, E-A-S-H, white man, 6'1", 185. He's wanted for aggravated driving under the influence. 31-year-old Adam Harned is a white man, 5'9", 170. He's wanted for sex offenses having to do with soliciting. And finally, 34-year-old Rakeshia Rayford is a black woman, 5 feet tall, 120 pounds. She's wanted for a probation violation. If you know the whereabouts of any of these individuals, give us a call at Rockford Crime Stoppers, 815-963-7867, or call us toll-free at 888-769-STOP. We do accept calls anonymously, no caller ID, and we do pay out cash rewards of up to $1,000 depending on the tip. And if there's a successful outcome. One other thing, this is National Police Week, a very important week for law enforcement. If you happen to encounter a police officer, just say, maybe say thank you to that man or woman wearing a badge.
Absolutely. That's a fine idea. rockfordcrimestoppers.com. Speaking of, you and I talked about Narcan before.
Yes.
And how police in this area have used it to save lives. Mm-hmm. People who were overdosing, and this is the thing that saved their life.
But I know what you're going to bring up.
The Ohio cop.
Yes.
For those who had not heard this story, an Ohio cop overdosed on fentanyl Friday after accidentally getting it on his uniform during a traffic stop. East Liverpool Police Department document states the officers stopped a car they believed to be associated with drug activity. Officers found the suspects trying to destroy drug evidence in the car. Mm-hmm. Quoting the officer, "I approached from the passenger side of the vehicle in time to see one of the suspects using his foot to rub an unknown substance into the carpeting on the floor of the vehicle." East Liverpool Police Chief John Lane tells Fox News Officer Chris Green had arrived at the police station after the stop and everything seemed to be fine. One of the other officers mentioned he had something on his shirt, and Green brushed it off with his hand like you would. Moments later, he wasn't feeling well. Luckily, one of the officers grabbed him as he collapsed, according to the police chief. Now, fentanyl, for those who don't know, powerful synthetic painkiller that is sometimes mixed with heroin in powder form. Experts warn it will kill you. Mm-hmm. Officers initially thought the powder from the traffic stop was crack cocaine, the police document states, but further investigation showed it was actually fentanyl. He was revived with Narcan.
Wow.
And will live to tell the tale.
Boy, what an amazing story.
How unbelievably powerful is this stuff? If it is, you got a little something on your shirt, you wipe it off like that, and it is absorbed through the pores in your hand.
And then he fell ill.
And collapsed within moments.
Right.
Thank God for Narcan.
Yes.
And those who know how to use it. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, that one just a routine traffic, and you got a little schmutz on the uniform, mm-hmm. and that's not what it is at all.
This is the type of situation that police face, unfortunately, any day.
Remember, as Ken said, National Police Week. Pat an officer on the back. 8:48. Ken, good to see you.
Thanks for the time.